Okay, we are now live on YouTube and Facebook, and I see participants starting to come in. Welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Ask the Patent Professor show, uh, your live webinar. I'm really excited today to make this introduction. I'd like to introduce Brian Freed. He is an unbelievable inventor coach and a friend of the inventor community. He's an inventor himself, and I'll let him talk about some of his ideas. But that board behind him has drawings of a lot of his inventions, and some of them are, a lot of them are licensed. You might have seen some of them on QVC or in commercials. He has products on shelves in major retailers. So really an unbelievable resource on what can be done after the intellectual property is protected. In addition to that, Brian has founded a club for inventors known as the National Inventors Club. And he does his own seminars and webinars, a lot of educational content. And last year, he launched an app, the Inventor Smart Community app, that has all kinds of features that are helpful to inventors. So it's so refreshing to see a friend of the inventor community that's really creating resources to help inventors. So Brian, welcome to the Ask the Patent Professor show, and I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate that. And welcome to all the inventors listening out there. It all starts with getting a patent, getting some sort of intellectual property protection to be able to figure out what you should do next.
So tell us a little bit about your journey, because I think for a lot of inventors that are inventing for the first time, to tell you the truth, and they read about your background and your bio, it's a little bit intimidating because it's like, and they might think, well, I'm never going to be where Brian Freed is, and of course he's successful because look at how successful he's been in the past. But it wasn't always that way. Like every inventor starts with their first idea. So if you want to kind of bring us on that journey of how you even became an inventor in the first place.
I thought about this quite some time. And I remember when I was younger and just on my way growing up, I realized that I was always curious about the way that things worked, what things look like, how it could be improved. So I guess a lot of people do that, John, and you don't realize that you're an inventor when you're born, I think. It's just some people do something about it and other people let other people do something about it. So as I continued to grow up, I got married, I had my daughter, and just going through those steps, I realized like, hey, there's always something that I see that could be improved. Is it something that I can call my own? Is it enough of a window, big enough window of opportunity that I can put money in and get some kind of return out? So as a marketing person, from a marketing perspective, looking, engaging what I should work on and what I shouldn't work on, maybe I should put it in the back or maybe move forward with them, is really the way that I kind of evolved my portfolio of intellectual property. And look, John, I'm nothing special. I might have a head start on many people that might be listening and watching out there, but if I could do it, so can you. You just want to make sure that if you're working on something, that it's something that is going to be worthwhile and you can make money with it, because ultimately that's what we're doing. But there's other people also, John, that might say, you know what? I don't care about all that money stuff or making a return. I just want to put a patent on my wall. And that's great. I could put a patent. This is all I want. And some people are happy and fulfilled with that. So that's kind of how I started as an inventor, just being curious and testing and trying and thinking about who might use it. And that's the greatest feeling, is being able to come up with ideas and people using it for the same reason you came up with it.
Yeah, it sometimes, as a patent attorney, I've been practicing for 25 plus years. What's incredibly common that I see in my practice is invariably the inventors that come in with an idea, it's not their first idea. And I get this is told so often that their first idea they carried around sometimes for years, thinking it didn't have potential or that they were not the right person to bring it to market. And then they eventually saw it on store shelves. And it's like a kick in the gut for them because it was theirs and they just didn't do anything about it. And then when something else comes and they think they found this time, they move forward. So I had, for example, like I've had an inventor just this week tell me that the Snuggie, the blanket with the two cutouts for their hands, is something that they were doing informally with older like blankets and such in their house forever. And they didn't realize that they were not the only ones that felt a need to stay warm and comfortable and not have your not have to remove the blanket to take a sip of your coffee or something. They said they had no idea that there was potential there, or else they would have move forward with that themselves. There's others. This was several weeks ago. There's an oil for fragrance that you would put like inside a toilet to reduce the the smell, the odor. I think it's called potpourri, and they said, "Oh my God!" Like people that had this idea for years and just never did anything. Do you think was that your experience as well, or is that what spurred you to take action on that first idea? Because I think that's what stops. It's the action is what differentiates one inventor from the other. And I often give talks about the legal doctrines behind patent law and this important things to keep in mind. And it's all knowledge, but I always tell the audience that the knowledge is great, but it's useless unless someone takes that first step and takes action.
I would say that there's many people that just don't know where to go. So by the time they keep looking down and looking up, poof, 2, 3 years go by, or even 2, 3 months, depending on who you are and how much time you have to work on it. Because look, many times there's people that are using or that come up with an idea and they want to work on it as kind of like their side hustle. So life is moving rather quickly. And it's just when you start to get back into it to be able to continue to move it forward. But I could say that just as I started to have some levels of success, John, and start to realize that other people needed the help, like that's why I started to build those resources out there for people to find. Like I was going to a local inventor club on Long Island here where I'm from. And then I started two. With both county executives, county offices here. And there was a bunch of people that used to come and it was amazing. Then I put a radio show on, a podcast, so people can listen to that and get good information from experts and resources out there to put that out. I wanted to write a book to be able to. So I was trying to do as much as I could, and I was doing as much as I could to get the word out that you have the information here. It's kind of many different paths that people could take, and not every product and not every person is different. And it doesn't always have to be a product. There's plenty of other types of intellectual property that you can protect. But just going through the journey and knowing that the right resources are out there, and hopefully people that are watching and listening to this know that there's a good place to be able to get information from you, from the things that I've put out there.
So are there any inventions of yours that you want to talk about, like any journey behind them? I know when you came to our law firm's quarterly meeting and you spoke about some, and I just don't remember which ones are public and which ones are not. So I just love the one of them that you spoke about, but I don't know. I'm not at liberty to talk about them if you don't have the IP protected yet, but I'll leave that to you.
No problem. I'm up to 15 issued patents, and I have others that have been pending. So hopefully we'll continue to build that up. But just one of the first ones I pulled out of my drawer here a while ago is the Balloonaban. So this is one of the first ones I came up with, John. My daughter was that age where we'd go see Elmo's World on Ice or Disney Princesses or whatever. And we would buy these Mylar balloons that were $12, $15 each, and we tie the ribbon around her wrist. And I used to cut off her circulation. Her wrist would turn purple. Daddy, make it tight. It's too tight. or it's too loose and the balloon flies away. And that's what I realized. A lot of people in the audience, they bought their kids' balloons and they were up in Madison Square Garden at the top of the ceiling. So I was like, you know what? There's something simple. It's called the Balloon-a-Band. It's a nylon wristband that you put around the kid's wrist. And now you can take this metal D-ring over here and attach the ribbon to it. And now when your kid wants to take it on and off, you can take it on and off. You can put it on your belt buckle. You can put it on the stroller, whatever it is. And when you let go of it, if it falls off, your balloon doesn't fly away because it's also a weight. So that was one of the first products that I brought to market. Is called the Balloon-a-Band.
Oh, wow. Wow. So it has, I didn't realize that it has enough weight to it that it keeps the balloon from,
Right, right.
um,
And then
wow.
just kind of going through not in any particular order, but for example, I came home one night and there was no room left in my fridge, and I had leftovers, and I wanted to be able to stick it in the top drawer there, and there was a carton of eggs. I opened up the eggs and there was one egg left in there. So I was like, this is silly. I took the egg out and I'm like, put my leftovers, and I'm like, that big carton takes up a lot of space. So what I did was I came up with a collapsible egg tray. So you put your eggs in, and as you take your eggs out, it collapses and only uses the amount of space that you need for the amount of eggs that you have left. So I called it extra space.
Oh, love it.
So that's a
Love it.
utility patent. Balloon-a-Band was a utility patent. And then here's another one, John. So I know some people are a little bit more of a germaphobe than others. I know a lot of people kind of converted to being a germaphobe after the pandemic. But what I wanted to do was replicate like a scooping mechanism, a scooping motion, because when I went to parties, people were sticking their hands in the potato chips, pretzels, peanuts, whatever. So I came up with a scooper, and it would close. And I thought it would look cool to have a mouth on it, a face. So I ended up developing this container, and now you can put your cookies in it, and you can eat from it, and you close it, and then I ended up licensing it. So Elmo, Cookie Monster, all the Ninja Turtles ended up being on it. And now it's some generic characters, but these sold millions and millions of units. And this is something that I'm really proud of. So that was a fun run. So as far as licensing, because we talk about commercializing your invention, so there's ways to manufacture and start your own business and work with the factory, packaging, barcoding, warehousing, accounts payable, receiving, all that. And then there's the other side to licensing to earn royalties. So I license the rights to my intellectual property, and that this has brand characters to it. So when it sells, they have to pay me and they have to pay Sesame Street. So fun. I'll show you one more. Is that good,
Yeah,
John?
yeah. Oh my God.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
got a few more here, but
you could continue forever. These are, and I'll tell you why in a second, because I didn't realize the nature of all of your ideas. But as a patent attorney, it's phenomenal to see ideas like this that do well. Because, well, I'll just tell you now, since I've started, is a lot of people's image of when you go to see a patent attorney, they think they have to have, like, I don't know if you remember the movie, like Back to the Future. They think you have to have like a flux capacitor to go see a patent attorney. And they come in, sometimes inventors are like embarrassed because, they're like, oh, because I'm an engineer, all patent attorneys have to be, and they just the intimidation factor. They're like, okay, look at all these the credentials that we have former examiners at our firm, and they might be coming in with like your idea, for example, the one to prevent a balloon from flying away by wrapping something around their wrist, and they're embarrassed about that. They're like, oh God, I know you see really complex stuff, maybe cures for cancer, maybe like electrical systems, but here I have a scooper device to get
right.
peanuts out of a bowl. But some of the most successful ideas in history have been incredibly simple. I mean, gosh, we have I don't have from my coffee this morning, I threw away the sleeve, but the cardboard sleeve is by Jay Sorensen on a cup of coffee. And that's been licensed for licensing royalties of over $1 million a year for some 20 plus years. Post-it note, 3M has made $1 billion off of removable glue and paper. So complexity is not a requirement. Usually I spend a lot of time when I teach at as an adjunct professor of patent law, making sure that these future lawyers, they might not practice patent law, but that they realize that there's no complexity requirement to get a patent. So if they have clients, somebody might be, a family law attorney doing divorce work or tax work. I want them to be able to recognize when they need to refer someone to a patent attorney and not have the bar so incredibly high that they're looking for, like a car that runs on water or something before they think a patent attorney. It could be something incredibly simple, as some of your ideas, but they solve a real problem, and you just need to solve a problem for a tiny niche market. And if that market's willing to pay for that solution, then you've got the makings of a successful product. So yeah, so with that, like so far, all of your ideas have been like great examples, because I can talk all day long to students and when I speak to inventor groups and volunteer at SCORE about how complexity is not required, but nothing brings that home like seeing simple ideas like some of the ones you have that are out on the market. But go
And I
ahead.
do have
If you have more, that's even better.
I do have some more complicated ones. And look, you don't always have to make it perfect to start with, because it may evolve, but maybe as you're looking at that first one, you come up with other iterations to be able to continue to improve on it. But if you spend so much time to continue to improve, you might miss your shot. So it's okay to continue to build, but there are some that I have. I'm looking at my disaster area in front of me of all the different iterations and prototypes and different versions that it takes to sometimes get there, but you can get there. And that's the thing, is being able to make it so it makes sense, and the biggest audience and your window of opportunity, and also the cost effectiveness. Because sometimes, John, me being as the inventor coach, people come to me with ideas in every category, industry, different stages of where they're at. And it's just a matter of kind of bringing it in, understanding where they are, understanding where they want to go, and then helping them to get to that next level. So it's fun. And that's the journey. You take it from the beginning, and I kind of pick up and continue and bring it to life. And that's why we need each other. So
Right.
I'll show you this one. During COVID, it was very difficult to get any kind of paper goods. And I was starting to really get a little nuts with like cherishing my paper towels and all the different things out there. So I realized that usually when your hands are wet or dirty, you put it on top of the paper towel roll and you pull the sheet off. So on the top, it would always get wet and dried up, and people would put their hands on top. Not just me. I asked my friends and family to take pictures of the top of their paper towel rolls, and it was disgusting. This is a little exaggerated, but you get the idea, right? So what I did was I came up with a simple cap that goes into the inner tube of any paper towel roll on a stand. And now when your hands are wet or dirty, you put it on top and it stays clean and dry. And I call this the paper towel topper. And as I'm sitting here, and before our conversation today, there are people on Amazon just buying it. And then I refill it, I send it to Amazon, and they send it out. That's I work with FBA, and I work in some getting into some retail stores with it, but it's fun. And that's the thing, is they don't always have to be complicated. Something simple, easy. Look, I'll just show you one more and I'll make a point. So I realized that my bread was left open, or I had a twist tie that I couldn't figure out which way to open it, and those plastic claws that come on the bread. So I was like, you know what? I know there's a lot of bag things out there, sealers, but I came up with one, and it's called pull ties. And what you do is you take any cereal bag to kind of put it through, and you pull this up and it seals it tight. The point I was going to make, John, is if I went on QVC with this, which I was on almost 3 years with this, and then afterwards it continued. But if I went on QVC and I said, this is for bread, maybe you eat bread, maybe you don't eat bread, Maybe you care about the twist tie or the claw, whatever, that's fine. But I said, not only can you use this for bread, you can use it for cereal, in your pantry, in your freezer. It's reusable, it's freezer safe, it's dishwasher safe, all these things. So at the end of the day, I was going on and I said, how many people have a kitchen? Right? So you're talking about niche. So a lot of times people come to me and they're kind of closed on this idea that it's only for this particular thing. But when I look at it, I'm like, well, maybe that's good, but maybe it's third or fourth or fifth on the list. Why don't you go where the biggest window of opportunity is? So sometimes people are like, oh, yeah, I can do this. And yes, I could do that. But this seems like it would be the biggest one. And you can market to many of them. And it's all relative to what licensing, if you're going to license it in a certain industry or category, maybe you can go into another one and continue it. Or if you're going to manufacture it, you can actually kind of market it into the different segments that you might want to bring it out to.
Wow. So that's like kind of the opposite of where, like as a patent attorney, I'll have an inventor envision how their idea is supposed to look. Like just as an example, say it's a a chair with magnets for pain relief, like maybe in the seat portion, and they'll draw it out and they'll have maybe a working model. And say that chair for some reason has sidearms on it. And then as a patent attorney, when I look at what I want to protect and what's unique, yes, their prototype might have sidearms and it might have a back, but their real innovation is the magnets, and maybe there's something extra unique. Maybe they're heated magnets or they vibrate or something so that you get this added benefit. And as a patent attorney, we have to ask these, is something required or is it an optional feature? So sometimes it's like, does your chair have to have a back to it? And it's nice, it's a great feature, but it would still, but if I protect their idea and I make the back or the sidearms critical features, a competitor could sell a bar stool without a back and without sidearms, but steal the vibrating or heated magnet feature for pain relief and compete with them. So I have to tell them not to think this narrow and to go sometimes broader. And it sounds like you're doing the same thing with an inventor that might see an extremely niche market. Like, for example, you initially thought of the idea relating to bread, and then it takes a special kind of thinking to go, hey, you know what? For me, the bread's critical, but for somebody else, it might be rice cakes or something, or cereal or something. So why not go broader? So that's terrific. That's one of the reasons I think it's really helpful for inventors to learn as much as they can. And I don't want to run out of time to talk about the National Inventor Club and what it is and what prompted you to start that. And tell us a little bit about how it can help inventors.
It's really important that inventors, because like I mentioned earlier, you don't know where to go, who to trust, who to network with. And I thought it would be great to be able to have inventors come into a room, be able to get good information from experts that have been there, done that, whether they're inventors that have put something out or resources for inventors. And I just took it to the next level, working with the US Patent and Trademark Office. You mentioned SCORE, Small Business Development Center, which is a division of the SBA also, and just being able to bring relevant information out. So I was running inventors clubs for, I think it was almost 15 years. And when COVID happened again, so for me, a lot of things, I had a lot of time to think, and just working on inventions and being able to work on the club, I converted it into the National Inventor Club, because I started off and I'm like, hey, you're from Texas. Why don't you watch our meeting? You're from Florida. You're from here. I'm like, this is silly. Like, I don't have to make it the Long Island Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club. I can make it National Inventor Club. And then just being able to get people to come and join easier online and get the information that they need on various topics that'll keep them moving forward with their ideas. And now I'm proud to say there's tens of thousands of people that are part of the club. We do monthly meetings. We have networking meetings. We recently went to the US Patent and Trademark Office as a group, and we're going to do that again. So there's a lot of fun things. And that's that's the thing also is we have the monthly meetings and we all connect. But then I wanted more. I wanted to be able to have inventors talk and connect up. And I know that we have social media, but there's a lot of noise on social media. So I wanted to kind of create my own social media network and platform. And that's where Inventor Smart Community came in, and the app was invented.
Yeah, so wow, so this is an app that people can just download on their phone, inventors, and it allows them to take advantage of a lot of the features of the National Inventors Club, right? Can they network on the app? Tell us what it allows them to do, and if there's a cost or something associated with downloading the app or joining the National Inventors Club, like that is something I think the viewers would love to know. Like how do they get it, and what all is involved with having it?
Thank you, John. Well, Inventor Smart Community you can download on Google Play or Apple App Store. And it looks like this kind of icon right there. There's my family, you can see in the back. But you click on here and it opens up, and you have all different types of group chats in different categories. And then just kind of scrolling down, and you'll see all the activity that's going on in members. And I'm proud to say, oh, there's somebody who just subscribed. I'll go over that in a moment. But look, even here's ours. We're doing a live stream right here, and just all different things that either my team or the community with the members that are on there post. And there's also resources. So if you click on here, you go into that part and you go into the main menu, you could, whoop, I think I clicked it on the way, but you could see that there's all National Inventor Club, promote and sell inventions. We have inventors in the spotlight. So we feature inventors that have had some level of success or had some great thing just happen to them. We have library and resources. So there's newsletters in there. You can connect up with the US Patent and Trademark Office in there. We have inventor directory, inventor information. We also have, where is it? There's trade shows if you want a directory for trade shows. So there's a lot of activity, and I'm proud to say that we ended up just hitting our 1,000th member subscriber in the app. So
Oh, wow.
it's been fun. It's free to join, and there's premium insider membership that's available. It's $9.99 a month or $99 for a year. And there's benefits to being membership has its benefits, as they say. I don't know if I can use that, John. It might be trademarked, but I don't know if it's in the same class of goods.
It's not the same class of goods. It's trademarked. I think it's American Express.
Yes.
But
Well, I'm not a credit card, that's for sure. Maybe my family thinks I am, but that's a different story. Um, but yeah, it's fun. It's exciting. I get notifications when people post or send a message to me, and people are collaborating and networking and helping each other out in there. And we do book clubs and mastermind meetings and Q&A and book clubs, and it's been fun. We had movie night last week. We watched an invention movie. So it's just another way.
oh, and not physically in one place, right? So the movie, everyone can collaborate, but they can be wherever they are across the country.
Yeah, we actually live streamed the movie in the app, and then afterwards we had a whole discussion on it and what people got out of it. So it's fun. It's really fun, and it's like you meet all these new friends, and you're all in the same boat, kind of working on your inventions, or maybe you have one that you had and you kind of let it go, but you're still into the innovation side. And then there's really successful inventors in there, and we keep it tight. It's inventors that are in there talking and helping each other out. So I'm really proud of it. And the next stop is 10,000 and 25,000, and I want to keep this community going.
Yeah. Oh, it's phenomenal that you're really recognizing the change that the internet has allowed in the way people network and meet, and even have I've seen a huge change in just perceptions of people in hiring a patent attorney, for example. Like, patent law is federal. There's no Florida patent law or New York patent law. It's a United States patent office, and our license has always allowed us to practice nationwide. And I've always had a national practice, But where it really took off was once the pandemic started and people were not able to meet even locally. They figured, okay, well, if I've got to hire a patent attorney, if I'm going to meet my local patent attorney via Zoom, then let me open up the choices of who I can hire to nationwide. And it's made a tremendous difference. But prior to the pandemic, I would have to, when someone would say, well, I would prefer to have someone in my local area. And they might be in an area with extremely limited choices of patent attorneys. There's several cities that don't have throughout the country don't have a single patent attorney, and they'd have to drive 3 hours to get to a patent lawyer, and that may not be the best lawyer for them. And I would explain that choosing a patent attorney is not like ordering pizza. You're not limited to your choices from whatever's within a half-hour drive of your home. You really can go nationwide. And the same thing goes for inventor clubs. There's always a different feel to meeting in person. And I think your group still does that and facilitates in-person meetings, like when everyone went together to the patent office. But what a great way to supplement that with national resources. Like you can get speakers able to speak to your inventor community that in the past would have to buy a ticket, book a hotel, get and then get transport to the place, and then you'd have to pay them to come and speak. But now your group, they get to hear from some of the most successful inventors in the country, and it costs the inventor nothing to show up and no additional time. So they're a lot more willing to speak to other inventors. But if an inventor that had success had to spend their own resources or fly or take time off of running their business to do that, it wouldn't really be possible. I mean, in fact, I know you've traveled down here to our office, but even the fact that you're able to join the Ask the Patent Professor our show is because you're not having to jump on a plane and physically come down here to join. You're able to join 5 minutes before, and as soon as we're done, you can pretty much go back to whatever else you're doing. That's incredible, and that's I think where the true genius of National Inventor Club comes in. And I think it's just a matter of time before the 10, 20, 30,000 is going to explode to hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions of inventors, because there is a huge need for a club that's national in scope, of like vetted resources that you're able to provide.
Thank you, John. And it's so important that people get the right information. Just recently, since we're talking intellectual property here, I had Kathy Vidal, the director and the Undersecretary of Commerce. The director of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Kathy Vidal, was on. The deputy director of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office was on National Inventor Club. The inventor of the cell phone, Marty Cooper, was on National Inventor Club. So just getting this information, and then infomercial companies and the Copyright Office and ThomasNet and Alibaba.com, like, is your invention a tax write-off? Just relevant topics and information to be able to give people and to let them kind of absorb it and help them to make better decisions is really what's most important. That's what keeps me going, John.
Yeah, and I think it's like just the two in combination, have the National Inventors Club, I think is going to help the Inventor Spark community, and vice versa. The app is going to help raise awareness for the National Inventors Club as well. So it's just amazing seeing the stuff you've done, the products. We typically close off the formal part of the Inventor Show after about a half an hour. And if there's any pending questions, I have Crystal here as our moderator for the Q&A. So if there's any questions that have been submitted, what I just want to offer, and my way of giving back to inventors, and what I talked about before, is that hesitation for someone to move forward with their idea, thinking that they're outside the industry, is my book, Escaping the Gray. And if you're here listening, and if you want a copy of it, Crystal, you can post your your email address, and anybody that wants to send a physical address, I'll mail out a copy of Escaping the Gray. It's a book that I was inspired to write after seeing what some individual inventors have done outside of their industry, and that escaping their comfort zone and taking a chance on their idea. So if you're on the fence and you're looking for inspiration to move forward, I think it's a phenomenal resource. I'm biased, of course, but it took me 10 years to write it, and I'm happy to send a copy to anyone. And I just see Crystal's posted her email address. So send her a physical address if you'd like a copy. No cost or charge or anything. It's just something that I've offered anytime I teach at SCORE meetings or other volunteer groups, and even at inventor clubs, I would offer that. So that being said, Crystal, if there's any questions, if our participants here, if you have any questions for Brian, this is a terrific opportunity to speak to someone that's actually done it and it successfully licensed several of his ideas. Some he's launching himself, so he hasn't licensed them and actually decided to become the manufacturer, so to speak, himself. So Brian's got a wide array of experience that could be helpful on what to do after you get your idea protected with a patent. And we have at Ask the Patent Professor, we'll often have meetings where I'll talk about questions about the patent process and protecting the idea, but it's really hard to have someone with Brian's experience available to answer questions on the patent process. So Crystal, I'll leave it to you to help moderate any questions that are coming in.
And you know what else also, John, it's interesting because a lot of people and people were asking questions in the app this morning because they saw that I was going to be on with you. But for me, trying to get intellectual property protection on my ideas, I always do my best to try to get it, because then I have more options. If I don't have any intellectual property and I go to market with it, if I manufacture it myself, then my next door neighbor can make the same thing. So I want to be able to try to get intellectual property protection. If I want to try to license it to earn royalties, most of the time, they're going to want you to have some sort of intellectual property. Otherwise, what do they need you for? They could do it themselves. So if you have a chance, take advantage of the system to be able to kind of own it for the next 15 years if it's a design patent, or 20 years if it's utility patent, to be able to make it. And if there is somebody that does something, at least you have some protection rather than not. So just wanted to bring that up because that was somebody's question in the app this morning.
Yeah, that's terrific advice. Oh, go ahead.
We have a question from Akik. He's interested in understanding how to get an app approved by mobile carriers, and if the National Investment Club can help.
National Inventors
Club, yeah.
Yep. Well, there's people that come to me with app ideas, and to develop an app is not the easiest thing to do. It requires development, and many times, John, you probably know from protecting apps, and the processes could be something that could be protected. But when you create an app, the source code for the app is public, so people can actually make the same thing as you. And sometimes it's about getting it out there first and being able to build up a name for it. And sometimes people come to me with an app idea and they want to try to license it from the scratch, from the start. You know what I tell a lot of people that might be limited on funds, or maybe you have $1 gazillion, whatever it is, build a website first. You can build a website and pretend like it's an app, see what kind of response you get, act as if. And then if you do feel like you're getting some good traction, you feel like this is the way it is and people are picking up on it, then you can always convert it into an app and being able to build in both Google Play and Apple App Store. Yeah, you have to actually submit your app into those stores, into those platforms, and they have to approve you. And then you got to keep up with updates all the time. They constantly keep updating security, bug fixes, things like that to keep up. So it is time consuming. It's also rewarding because look at what me personally I get to bring out there and others with their apps. But yeah, I mean, there's companies out there that if you come up with an app that's similar, you could try to license it to earn royalties from that with, let's say, every download. But you can do it yourself. I mean, you know, prices range and vary on how much you need to put into the kind of like the MVP, the minimum viable product of an app to be able to convert it into a full running app with all the bells and whistles. So it's a challenge, but it could be rewarding.
So I think like the crux of it is let's test it first. And I know, having known Brian for some time, that he's always advocating the lowest cost test of viability, right? To see if there's a market. So first test it on a small scale with less cost. So a website is a lot easier and lower cost to produce than an app, and there's nobody you have to go and get approval for a website. So start it on a website first, and if it shows potential, then you can look at the app. Now, the attorney in me it always worries about websites because they're extremely public. And from what Brian's saying, even the source code on an app is public and viewable. So there's a misconception that software and apps are not patentable. Outside of, I know, of course, it's very well known among the National Inventors Club, and Brian knows this, but yeah, I still shudder to go to other resources online. The internet's an amazing place, but it's also a dangerous place because I'll read something about, oh, software can't be patented or you can't protect an app. And that's not true at all. We've patented apps and software, and we've done that for years. An app is just a process, and a process is one of the statutory categories allowed by statute for patentable subject matter. So it's clearly patentable. Get it protected, and then test it first on a smaller scale. So that's phenomenal advice.
You know what I love about that also, John? An example that I give because people can relate to it. I think a lot of people know Priceline. So Priceline, with bidding on how much your car or your airfare or whatever it is, like their process that they created was to be able to bid on open seats or whatever it was, and then they actually patented that process like you're talking about.
And they started as a website first before the Priceline app. And those of us that remember the early days of the internet, my kids sometimes they were old enough to remember MapQuest. And before the phones got sophisticated enough with GPS maps, I would print out, my wife and I, we would print out directions and on a printer from MapQuest, and then carry those physical papers with us as we're driving to wherever we're going. So
I don't know who's older, me or you, but I was flipping AAA triptychs back in the day.
Exactly.
So, before printers.
So the point is it's starting from a website and then going to an app. A lot of businesses have done that out of necessity because the apps weren't available. So it's a great idea to do that. Crystal, if there's another question or two, we'll take those, and then we'll call it a show for today.
Yep. I have one from Muhammad. He wants to sell his idea to a company, but he wants to know the steps to go in order to get that started.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because people use the word sell, and many times people come to me, John, and they say, and Crystal, they say, you know what? I came up with this idea. I don't want to do anything with it. I just want to run to a company and they'll buy it from me. Doesn't always work like that. I mentioned earlier, it's important if you can get intellectual property protection like a patent to be able to get something at least started where you're patent pending, even with a provisional patent application, but you can even file the non-provisional patent application, you're patent pending, and then you could go to a company, but not just putting something out there. It's important to do a patent search and make sure that you did your due diligence, because a lot of times people come to me and they say, you know what, I came up with this great idea. I haven't seen anything out there like it. And you know what they did? They went on Google, they put in a quick search, and they said, oh my gosh, My idea is not out there. They cover their eyes. They don't want to know that it exists. They went on page 1 of Google, or they went down the aisle at Walmart and it wasn't in there, so it doesn't exist. Now you're going to be a gazillionaire. I think it's important to be able to get some protection, being able to make it real with a basic prototype, like you mentioned earlier. I'm big with just take things apart, put them together, come up with something simple enough to be able to show or explain. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just get it out of your head into something that how it looks and might work as close as you can. And then start asking some people, ask them to file ask them for a non-disclosure agreement to sign, or maybe you're patent pending at that point, and get some feedback from people. And then if, like you were saying, Mohammed, if you want to sell it, selling could be maybe you built up where people are buying it, maybe you manufactured it and then you built up some assets, maybe you have a patent issued, maybe you have a trademark, and now you have some assets to be able to sell that way, and a company will want to buy it. Or maybe you want to sell it where it's to license it to earn royalties. So maybe you want to go to a company. So let's say I have my pull ties here. I go to a company that does bag sealers or chip clips or whatever, and I ask them, are you interested in adding this product line, this product to your product line? And if they're interested, they would manufacture it, distribute it, and you would earn a royalty. So not necessarily selling your idea, but licensing the rights to earn the royalties from it. The other thing of selling could be that you start to manufacture it and actually sell it yourself. You become the manufacturer and you continue to sell it. And then, like I said, if you wanted to sell your company's assets, you could do that later on. So that's kind of the way that I mention to people when you sell your idea, what your options are.
Yeah, Mohammed, that's an unbelievable question, and it's I'm glad you asked that. It's probably something where we could have Brian come back for an entire Ask the Patent Professor show just on that aspect of the different ways you can make money from an idea. And he mentions licensing it to somebody else, manufacturing it yourself, and that would be, we'll definitely have you back, Brian. And for those that are here, there's going to be our next Ask the Patent Professor is on Friday, the 14th at noon again. So mark your calendar. We'll be sending out notifications, and you'll see them on social media. But that's going to be an entire hour of just Q&A on anything patent related. So the entire patent process, how you protect an idea. If you're interested, then go ahead. You can submit questions in advance as well. And that's Friday, the 14th at noon. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody that's here, particularly Brian. I want to thank you for taking the time to speak to the inventor community. Keep in mind the National Inventors Club. They're easy to find online. You can learn more, or if you have questions, reach out to us here at the Patent Professor. If you're on Facebook, we have a group for inventors, the Inventors Mastermind. So you can join that group, and we'll be posting links to the National Inventors Club and also where you can get the Inventor Smart community app. So thank you, Brian. Crystal, thank you so much for helping moderate, and everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Thank you very much. And we actually have the Commissioner of Trademarks that's going to be on National Inventor Club June 19th. So also in the beginning, John, if you can join us for a quick tip and advice to the inventors on something patent related, that would be great.
Oh, yeah, that would be phenomenal. And your one product, I love, you talked about the name as well, Extra Space, right? Phenomenal branding. So branding is a critical part of bringing an idea to market as well. We could have Brian come down an entire show on, I say come down, of course, but join, and we'll have a show just on protecting the brand. So if you want to hear the Commissioner of Trademarks, like this is what I'm talking about, what a National Inventors Club allows. The Commissioner of Trademarks would never take the time to take time off work, get on a plane, and fly to an in-person Inventors Club meeting, but you get the opportunity to hear directly from the commissioner as well. So, and Crystal's also pointed, she's posted an email address for anyone that has additional questions. You can always reach out, and we'll try to help however we can. And that date for the Commission of Trademarks, would you say June 19th?
Yeah, June 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And just a couple quick links. You can go to, of course, you can download the app, Inventor Smart Community. You could go to nationalinventorclub.com. And then I have as the inventor coach and just all the things that I'm involved with, you could go to my website, brianfreed.com. And let's stay in touch. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much, John.
Terrific. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you.